Hello and welcome back to my channel. Right now I'm working on the 1984 Grand National Lear seats. Now these are a very special package seat. They only came in a few years and only on a few body styles for this G body. Now these Lear seats are ultra rare, so stay tuned and watch me rewrap them. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment below on this channel to help support and bring it up. Now, I'm still a one-man band, and my family likes to build some of these cars with me, but most of the time I'm by myself with occasional help. I'm still working in a two-bay garage and working my way up there. Now, I've been restoring cars for almost about 12 years now. I started when I was 15 years old, and I'm 27 years old now. I'm still pretty young, so I got a lot of time ahead of me to keep perfecting my craft. As you can see here, these seats were in decent condition. I would have been able to save them if there wasn't so many rips in the driver and passenger seat. And now if I was going to save certain sections, it wasn't worth it. And with an extremely tight deadline, with only about a week and a half left to get this car back together for Barrett Jackson, there was a lot of pressure to get this job done and done right. Alright, the first thing you're going to want to do is clean up the frame. Now, this is a family endeavor, this car. We're going to be working on it together. A lot of the projects I've been taking on, my family wants to help me out with, which is a great thing. Family is very important to me. It's going to be the only thing that pretty much outlives everything else, and if you're family oriented, you get that too. Now, you want to clean out the back of this seat, use some disinfectant. That way, you don't get any surprises on your hands that you don't want. All right, take your time with those hog rings. They take a little while to get out, especially the really rusted ones. These are on there from factory, and they're over 40 years old. So please take your time when taking these things apart. You're not going to want to rip the foam or the rods that are in there, which hold down the fabric with the hog rings underneath. Showing you here right on the inside, this is one of those metal areas and rods that are connected with those hog rings, which hold down your cover to the foam and your frame. Take your time snipping those and use a needle nose plier to pull those out. You're going to need to take your time to remove every single one of those and make sure every little debris is gone because you do not want them puncturing your new seat covers. Alright, now we're opening up our new seat covers from Acme Auto, which came in on time. Although we did have a little hiccup, the company did make up for it by sending us a brand new set with no issues once we proved with documentation and some photos proving that the seat covers headrest came in a little too small, which happens to the best of us. It's a lot of pressure to time, fabric, and material that goes into making these seat covers. So if a small mistake happens like that, reach out to your manufacturer and they will pretty much own up to it and they'll send you something, just like this company did, and they made up for it by sending us a new set. Although we had to make the old headrests work in the short time that we had because we were going to Barrett Jackson, so we'll show you how I handled those. This is how the new seat cover is lining up. You're going to want to put those rods, all those lines and indents in those areas where those rods go. And you're going to start in the dead center area if you can and work your way out. I'll show you what I'm talking about with the hog rings. You see how it's laying over the foam nice and perfect. Has a little bit of looseness because you're going to want to be able to play with it. Here's me rolling it out, showing you all the creases and crevices. You have to take your time. Do not rush this step. Make sure everything is lined up the way that you want to, because once you crimp them down, that's pretty much it. You're going to have to cut that hog ring out and hope you didn't ruin the fabric in the process of whatever you're trying to remedy. So that's what I'm trying to say here. Take your time, see all those areas, those lines, they have a metal rod embedded in the foam, which connects to the frame of the seat, which you'll be able to staple down to. As you can see here, we worked around, we did it already, we pressed them into those creases, we hog ringed them down. Unfortunately, I didn't get to record that segment, my phone died at that time. But don't worry, stay tuned. Throughout this whole video, you will see how we apply those hog rings in those areas where those rods are. Now we have a really good shot right here. You got your hog ring pliers, and as you can see here, in that crease right there, that's where you're going to be applying your first few hog rings that you need to. Then you'll have metal rods that sit in here in your fabric that will be hovering these lines, and make sure you staple one at a time and go alternating back and forth between the lines because you're not going to be able to reach the other line if you do it before the other. And worry about finishing this final edge right there that goes up and down on a vertical pattern last. Alright guys, so what you can see here is almost the final product, and we're going to be digging into the driver and passenger seat now as we finished the back seat already. Now, these are the Lear seats, and if you haven't heard already, these Lear seats only came on certain G-body cars, especially the 84 and 85 Nationals, before they changed over to 86, which that is when they changed the seat style and all the interior just a little bit, as almost all the Nationals match except for the color tones that change just a little bit with the color spectrum. I'm not talking about the mechanical changes, only the aesthetics that gets changed to a gray and black instead of the tan and black combo, which is on the 84 and 85 seats. As you can see here, I'm taking off these twist dials, the adjusters for the lumbar support. Make sure you get the right key for it, and you'll be able to twist it right off, and you have to save these. They do not remake these. I did have to order one that was missing from a separate company, and it wasn't even designed for this car. And if I can recall, it's for a Porsche or maybe even a Mustang, if I can recall correctly, for these seat knobs that I replaced them with. Of course, I made sure to repaint and refinish them before I reinstalled them. As you can see here, I'm prepping to take off the headrest, and as you can use a little piece of a metal rod, shove it in there, push it back and forth, and the headrest will pop off. Same here, take your bolts off for the seat adjuster on the hinge, and then we're going to take these off. I have a 13mm socket, so we're backing those off, and we're taking our time. Make sure you catalog and put all these bolts inside of a bag or leave them spread out on a piece of cardboard labeled so you know which one is which and how to reinstall them when it's done. As you can see here, it's only a few bolts that hold on your hinge, and the other side is just a separate bolt. Make sure you get the right size for it. Take your time to break these bolts free, and I said, like before, to catalog which seat and which bolts go to which seat. That way you have no problem with the threads or anything fighting you when you do the reinstallation. As you know, these are seats, and when you sit on them, things flex, things expand, so you're putting pressure on those bolts, which help retain the bottom and lower half, which can also put a little bit of pressure on those threads. So if you want to make sure that you can put them back together easily, you can do that. Next, you use the zipper on the back. This will release the top half of the seat cushion area that you're trying to remove on the driver and passenger seat. Feel free to put the camera down when you need to, or anything else. Ask for a separate pair of hands if you need to help hold the seat steady as you pull off the original seat cover, which you still have to play with and make sure you can slide it off. Now, the original headrests also come with zippers, which also retain it and keep it shut, as you saw in the past clip. Here's the other seat that we're taking apart by the zipper area. Pull on it, and as you can see, this is how they folded the original foam in there. Remember to take out that section of foam that's on the old cover. That is going to give you the thickness that you need and padding to make sure when you put on the new seat covers that there's no issues with the shape and the size and the slack to make sure you can remove as many wrinkles as possible. Now remember, these are pre-made seat covers. You will be able to remove almost all of the wrinkles except for a few which have to do with how the people sewed them. You can only do what you can. You cannot remake a product. And to make these seat products, it's very hard, so there may be occasional ripple or wrinkle on some areas for where the fabric was folded over and sewn and pinches it a little bit. This is normal unless you're going with over the top, really, really expensive custom made seats that are made exactly for that seat and are not a universal fit for that car or that shape and model. As you could see, Nationals mostly come in pre-made cloth and foam and material like that. This one was a vinyl. It was a custom package, way more expensive than doing the original style. We wanted to change it a little bit and give this car a little bit of a custom flair while still staying true to its character, remaining with the Lear seats and not changing them out for something like Recaro seats or racing seats or maybe a modern seat, which there's nothing wrong with going about that style, but these Grand Nationals are very rare. There's only roughly about 425 made with T-tops in the year 1984, and we can only imagine how many survived being crushed, crashed, put in the flood zones around the United States and other countries. We don't know what's left out there and how many are left. This car was an honor to restore, and don't get me wrong, it had its own handful of problems that we had to address. A lot of problems, especially being the first year generation. It's an 84. There was lots of things that we had to overcome as the car was still being produced for the first time ever. It was one of the first ever cars controlled by a computer with fuel injection and with a turbo, and it was known as the Corvette Killer. This car could kill Corvettes back in the day off the line. It was that fast. Now, in the 80s, there was a lot of emission standards and stuff like that that changed, of course, but this car was very light and very influential for the type of vehicle that it was back in the day. Alright, guys, so as you can see here, watch through my actions, less of my words. You could see what I'm doing to prep and remove and make sure that these seats have been redone to a new condition. We are refurbishing these seats with the Acme style seats that we got ordered, those seat covers from Acme, which is actually a pretty good brand, even though we ran into an issue with the product the first time. They ran through it all, double checked their work, and they sent us out a brand new package. Unfortunately, we didn't get to use it as the car had to be done. And anyone who owns a shop who has a deadline and they know that you only have about a week left, you have to make everything work if you can. We got resourceful. We added fabric, like I said, in the areas that we needed on the headrest and the Lear seat support on the bottom. And we made things look exactly the way they were supposed to from factory while still retaining everything we needed to. Now, we still have the box full of Acme seat covers, which I'll be listing on our eBay page. It's brand new. Like I said, this company honored and followed through by making sure we can get the product that we needed. We didn't ask for a new set sent to us, they just went out of their way, and I give them two thumbs up for that service quality. I would recommend buying from them again, just if you're in a time crunch with anything, make sure you leave enough time to check everything so that if you have any issues, you can contact them and they'll solve it. Alright guys, as you can see here, this is the lumbar support which I'm pulling apart and cleaning up. This is how everything was tucked underneath with the hog rings, and if you've been watching throughout this whole video, you could use my actions to guide you through how to redo these seats. Now, I do apologize in advance. When I was filming these, I still didn't own a GoPro at that moment, and I also was on a time crunch. Like I've been saying, this car, we had only a week left to finish up a ridiculous amount of work. And if you could see in my past short, we hit almost everything imaginable that you could think of on this car before we got it back together. And we made sure we got back together right despite any challenges that came our way. Now, even with this car, I had another fellow person who helped us with the mechanical end of it. He used to work for Buick, and he actually worked on these Grand Nationals almost every day and solved all of these problems for Buick back in the day. So I felt like I had all the support and mentorship I needed and tips that I could from somebody who worked hands-on with these cars. So when I got into diving into solving this car, I knew I could give this person a call and they would be able to answer any sort of question that I couldn't find throughout research or throughout my own knowledge or looking online in the forums or chatting to fellow people just like you who is watching my video. As you know, all these car people, we're in this together. Not too many people want to do this hard work anymore and restore these cars. It's a long, tedious process. And to be honest, most of us, we have to learn and show everybody how we're learning. And that gives us a chance to be picked on or anything else like that. And I have to say here on my channel, I won't do any of that, and I won't be putting down any other car channels. I'm here to support and help you guys learn as much as you guys help me learn in the meantime. Like I said, I've been doing this for 12 years, and you can't say that you know all the knowledge yourself. There's always someone else out there who is stronger, smarter, faster at what you're doing, and you should open up your mind and drop your ego and be able to learn from those type of people. and that way you can then coach them through and show videos just like this. I didn't see any videos on how to repair these Lear seats. It was a big deal to try and put this process up and even record it. There was a tremendous amount of pressure on me and the people around me helping me build this car, and I'm very thankful for anyone who helped along the way to get this national done and in the time process. The original owner was very nice and he helped provide any information, and he was one of the reasons that we were able to finish this car with the information we received, even tracking down the original engine builder who moved out of state, down to receipts that showed us what parts were ordered so that we can then put our knowledge together to solve those hiccups. So within 2 days, we got these seats back together and figured it all out as I was in between working on the car, welding, body work, and doing mechanical at the same time, getting it ready for the auction. We were able to get these seats banged out, and they were really good and they came out great. You're using a different seat cover with the old foam and everything else like that. Plus, you're dealing with any sort of contours or sewing imperfections because these are very complex seats with natural curves that cause natural wrinkles and stuff like that. I was beyond happy with the quality and the style of the seats. They looked very 80s with the plush look that everyone was looking for back in the day, which adds to that classic 80s T-top car. The seats look amazing on the interior with the custom look. Everything's all blacked out, giving that sinister look. If you loved how it looks now, you can see through the whole process of how grueling this car was, but it was so rewarding, the whole process of saving this car, get it running and driving again after it's been parked for over a decade. It's just really felt like a great dream come true, and this car gets to live on, and we are able to save it. I put, like I said, over 1,800 hours into it and 82 panels, and about 78 of them I made myself, which took so long, and it was so worth it in those 1,800 hours, like I said, to get this car done and get it interviewed by April Rose, which is unexpected. With how many cars were there, you're talking almost less than 1% to be chosen, and I did not know this was going to happen. This just means that my quality work and effort and everyone else who worked on it, thank you guys for coming in, was shown in this moment with the honor of making it on TV on Barrett Jackson. Now, this doesn't happen every day, and I'm just so humbled that it did and so thankful for the experience. All right, guys, here's the moment you've all been waiting for, to see it on TV. After all that whole process is done, you can check out all my YouTube videos and you can see it there.
Across the block, like this sweet 1984 Buick Grand National. Now, she's been debadged, no logos, no call-outs, and also been blacked out. You see the turn signals are blacked out and the taillights in the back blacked as well. The interior is all redone, full tufted seat covers, and it was born with those T-tops, which is great here in the Florida sun. Now, in 84, it was the first year for the turbo 3.8, but 84 was the slowest year. It didn't have the intercooler like the sweet 87 had. But this one's been tricked out with a comp cam and a mild look, custom intake and exhaust that makes that turbo really stand out. Now, if you have to customize a Grand National, this is the way to go.
Always a popular car here at Barrett Jackson.
Alright guys, that's it. Remember to tune in next week to see our newest video, and check out our shorts that come out almost every 2 days. Also, I launched some new merch. Go check it out. I have a whole bunch of designs, and if you don't like any design yet, stay tuned for new ones.